Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast, NBA playoff edition. That is right. We are here at the tail end, the middle of April, which means the NBA playoffs are about to begin. So we're going to be here giving you a little recap on what happened during the play-in, what's going to happen a little for the rest of the play-in, and then give you our first round predictions that we typically do every year during the NBA playoffs. For those who are listening to us for the first time, or those who just need a reminder, you'll get our predictions before the series starts, and then we'll review the series and take that all the way till we get to the NBA Finals. So we have the NBA aficionado with us, Mr. Evan Debo. How are you doing today, sir?
Martin, I'm great. How are you?
I am good, man. I am good. The NBA playoffs is here, which means we are 25% done with the year, which is crazy.
That's nuts. That's nuts. 16 games to be won by somebody on their way to the Larry O'Brien Trophy and hardware. Who's it going to be? We'll dive into that a little bit here in the opening round, and then through attrition over the next few weeks, we'll eventually get to who that person is. But it was a wild finish, Martin. A lot of discussion about tanking. It's been a while since we've been on. A lot of discussion about resting players and folks with legitimate gripes and having to make appeals. Appeals that just came down today on Thursday as we're recording this for awards considerations. What anything stand out to you on obviously leading into the playing games on some of those veins? It's been a new wrinkle this year. We've been podcasting for a while, but those have been some new elements in terms of the end of the regular season games, 80 to 82 fanfare.
Yeah, and the two people that you were talking about in question who had the appeals successfully were Luka Doncic and Cade Cunningham. Obviously, both were extreme medical conditions. Um, I guess with any rule, you have to make an exception. I think now, though, is that what is the NBA going to characterize as something that can get excused? Because this is the first time that's happened under the 65 game rule thing. So now everyone else down the road are going to try and appeal it. So what are your standards for something to be appealed? I think they need to establish that quickly and not just it's a case by case basis.
Martin, you nailed it. So let's talk a little bit about collective bargaining for the listeners, right? So both sides have armies of lawyers that come together leading up to, during, and sometimes after, if it expires, the lifespan of a collective bargaining agreement to look at language, look at improvements. This was something that both sides agreed to, that both sides said they wanted. You can argue that the players, maybe the players will say, the Players Association will be like, we kind of lived with it because we got X and Y. And obviously collective bargaining and impact bargaining sometimes is an issue by issue thing that you kind of do a tentative agreement, you do a TA on, and you move on to the next item down the list. And sometimes it's a give to get, right? So something down in room 17 we really want, so we'll concede and give them what they want in room 1, even though we're not thrilled with it. But anyway, these people agreed to this. I'm a little surprised the league just went up and caved on it. Let's look at Luka's case very specifically. So Luka ended up appealing. He missed 2 games for the birth of his second child, flying back to Europe to be a part of that back in December, appealed and got the thing. Martin, I'll lead you to water here, I think. What's the obvious that's missing here, right? I mean, there's hey, father needs to be there present, that's an exception, but what's another type of game that was missed that hurt his 65 game threshold?
Did he miss any during the whatchamacallit, the NBA tournament, the midseason tournament?
I don't recall, but I want to go more recently for Luka's conduct. Luka can't stop.
Oh, yes. The reason I thought you
officials.
So where I was going with that is because another person got the 65 game because he played in those tournaments, and that was Wemby.
Yep. So Luka got a 16th technical, and then he really got 2 cracks at it. He got a 16th technical. It was rescinded by the league after barking about it again, because we can't just let things lie. And the league has a history of, oh, Draymond's a big star, we got to give him a longer leash, or Luka's a big star, our officials probably messed up. So like his game to like eclipse that, like it's fine and dandy to say, hey, look over here, but foul because of the birth of my child, which is a legit thing. But also, dude, you directly every game screaming and yelling at officials, 4-on-5 fast break the other way while you're back in another county yelling about officials behind the play. Like, I don't know. That one stood out to me, and that was at Luka's own hand, but whatever. But again, it's interesting because now you have precedent, right? You alluded to this. Now you've got precedent moving forward. So you might have only gotten 3 appeals this year. Anthony Edwards applied and didn't get it. So they said yes to 2, no to 1, or exemptions for things for adverse hardships or whatever, of why they should be granted, immunity for this 65-game clause. But next year, I bet you're going to have 7, 8, 9+ players apply for this exemption. And now, it's where are we at? You're not going to hold the line.
Yeah, and the people who are going to be applying are obviously people who believe they're close to making all NBA teams. And then if they make the all NBA teams, contract incentives kick in. So like anyone who has like specific contract incentives, they will appeal it. Or for these 2 cases, people who are in the MVP conversation, those are going to be the people who now they're like, oh, now I can appeal because of X, Y, and Z. But to go to your thing with Luka's thing, the NBA, it's like being a teacher. It's like you got a 0 for the day because you got suspended the day before. Whose fault was it that you got suspended? It was yours. So just because you got suspended doesn't mean I have to give you an A the next day. It was your actions. Like that's what they could have said to Luka and just kept it going.
Absolutely. Martin, you bring up a really good point. So I don't think we talked about that enough. We've talked about it a little bit over the years, but so yes, there are direct financial ties embedded in contracts, whether that be extra kickers or incentives for advancing in the playoffs. There's all kinds of like ties, and that's a corporate strategy for performance. That you can see in the corporate world as well too, business world, sometimes in government world as well too, for providing on certain deliverables. But I'll say I did have a new interesting thing I learned this year, and so part of it came from the new Rich Paul podcast with Max Kellerman, just kind of pulling back behind the curtain and talking about it. But Martin, were you as keen to some of the performance kickers, and then we'll jump to Giannis here, in shoe deals? Because I wasn't prior to this, but I mean, it makes total sense. But to me, that makes sense why Giannis has been throwing temper tantrums and saying, oh, I got to play, they're not letting me play, all this stuff, but also refusing to do 3-on-3, trade me, don't trade me, all these things. He didn't hit his thresholds. He could have hit his thresholds if he claims he's as healthy as he was, but it seemed like there were direct, who's he rep by, Adidas?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Adidas ties to his performance. Were you as hip to the shoe game element of this?
The shoe game element, I'm trying to remember a little bit. I know how influential they are because of if you watch the movie a couple years ago, but I think it was before COVID actually started, Air with Jordan and Nike, and them having to pay the stuff, and they're like, hey, he needs to hit these incentives if we're going to be paying the fine for his shoe. Obviously, they don't fine the people's shoes, but I did know that shoes did have incentives with their stars, yes, just because of that movie.
And then we won't go too conspiracy theory for this, but I just thought it was interesting that Rich Paul posited that not just individual financial incentives, but almost like there's this behind the scenes agent shell game with trying to get players on the same, with rep by the same shoe company on the same team. So there were some illusions of all right, well, now you got James Harden on the Cavs, who's the same shoe rep with Adidas as well too, with Donovan Mitchell. And then, he was talking about, how you start to put together a U.S. men's national hoops roster too. Based on shoe sponsorships. I thought it was an interesting door cracked open for me. I'd say and that's again another reason why I love the sport is that's a new wrinkle for me that's well beyond the X's and O's. Who puts the ball in the hoop? Who defends? Who can push the pace the most and have the best out of bounds plays and downstream, like all the different things that there's just so many layers to this world. I mean, it just caught me off guard. But so, I mean, maybe that explains a little bit of Giannis. In transition, Giannis is not going to be a Milwaukee Buck in the next 3 months. Let's say that, or next 2 months. Obviously, what a tumultuous dumpster fire of an ending though. They should have traded him at the deadline. It's been played out in the worst ways possible, very publicly. The league is investigated. I've never seen the league investigate the team claiming a player is unhealthy and the player saying I'm healthy and they're not letting me play. That's wild.
Yeah, they don't have a coach.
And then the coach out the door is dunking on players. And then you got Bobby Portis, who was on a podcast Monday or maybe at the end of last week, over the weekend, something like that. He didn't say goodbye or anything. Just deuces, I'm out. And then 2 days later, it said, yeah, Doc Rivers is just on his own accord isn't going to return. And I'm there's some stuff going on in Milwaukee, man.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure by the end of this finals, when we get to the draft, they would have already made their move.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, a lot to be determined based on some teams with high hopes for title aspiration that are in the playoffs, who may try to shake things up even more. Maybe we can circle back to that at the end of the pod. But Martin, let's dive in. It's been the play-in game stuff. Adam Silver's getting a lot of heat, as he should, for messing with the All-Star game, changing it 18 times within every year, and let's do this, and let's do the Elam ending, let's not, all these different things. But if there's a thing to give him credit for, it's his play-in tournament, man. I mean, it's especially this year. I know he's got recency bias, but these have been some great games.
Yeah, because of recency bias, I would probably say these are the best playing games we've probably had in the past 3 to 4 years. They might be the best ones ever because they've been close, competitive, back and forth, high drama, which obviously that's what the TV people want. So yeah, I agree. Past couple of years, this has been some of the best playing games that we've had.
Martin, let's start with reviewing some of those playing games real quick because we start to lead into what will become the first round preview, because these are kind of an extension or a toe behind trailer on the convoy that's going to the first round, right? So we start off with Portland and Phoenix. I think by all accounts, Phoenix looking really good. Winner gets 7th seed. Loser has to play again for an opportunity at the 8th seed. Portland showed up, and Mr. Penny Avdia, I mean, he's been getting to the free throw line like a fiend. I mean, he's just been putting there's so much talk about his downhill game. He was 15 of 22, high efficiency, 3 of 8 from 3, 8 of 13 at the line, 41 big points, 7 rebounds, 12 assists, along with 2 blocks. Drew Holiday has gotten healthy and is playing meaningful minutes on a Trailblazers team that wasn't expected to do much. Martin, remember, their coach was busted in a gambling ring as we started this season. So, I mean, shout out to Thiago Splitter for what he's done to get this team to 42 and 40 on the regular season, and now 43 and 40 with this win. They take the 7th seed. They will end up playing San Antonio. Phoenix loses. Jalen Green had himself a game, 35 points, and then Devin Booker with 22, Dylan Brooks with 20. Brooks did foul out in this game. Martin, any thoughts on just Portland's ascension and season here? Obviously, they're running into a buzzsaw with a San Antonio, who still on paper looks good and really great, but it has not proved it yet with this young group. Will they do what we've seen in the regular season or not? But any thoughts on Portland?
I think the biggest thing is who saw them coming. I don't think anyone, even them being in the plan, I don't think anyone really realized what they were doing there. Obviously, the biggest thing was their coach getting arrested for the gambling stuff, but no one actually paid attention to be like, oh, they're actually a pretty good team. And you said with Silver in the play-in, that play-in game was Portland's coming out party to the rest of the league because if you live on the East Coast, you're not staying up to watch the Portland Trailblazers. You're staying up to watch the Lakers and like things of that nature. But Portland showed that they can play, and I'm happy that's what the playoffs does. It's a coming out party. And Denny, I mean, that's how you 41, 7, and 12 is just you arrive. I mean, that's how you arrive in the postseason, and that's how you get your name, and that's how we talk about you on podcasts and stuff like that, what you do in the playoffs. And there's a coming out party for them.
Martin Denny on the year, 24 points, seven rebounds, 6.7 assists, 46% from the field. I mean, I can't remember the second player, but I heard the other day he's only one of three players with those numbers on the year. Jokic obviously won. The other eludes me for some reason. I don't know why Kawhi is standing out. I don't think it's Kawhi, but that assist number seems a little high for Kawhi. But I mean, just an incredible year. Martin, obviously, they've got Robert Williams III, Time Lord on the bench, coming off to spell Donovan Clingan. Only 2 points in this game, but I mean, he's still a brick to set hard screens and everything else. They're still running out older Matisse Thybulle and Jeremy Grant on a ridiculous. Shaedon Sharpe has had a heck of a turnaround for where he was, just in the public eye. But Martin, don't forget, regardless of what happens this year and how impressive this is, number 0 is still on the bench for next year, coming back.
Yep. Damian Lillard.
That team's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's
okay. So let's shift gears, and then we'll go ahead over to the other game that night. Martin, I couldn't go to sleep. I had to stay up and watch the overtime. Heat Hornets. You want to talk about? I mean, that game of the play-in, and definitely game of the last few weeks. You've got so many different pieces in here. So you have LaMelo Ball, falling over backwards and grabbing at the leg of Bam, the Heat's best player. He's injured and unable to come back. LaMelo gets no repercussions in the game for it. NBA comes up with some weird, we're just going to fine him like $35,000 for what he did in the game and like another 15 for dropping an expletive in a press conference, like just dumb stuff afterwards. It doesn't, fix this, what happened to the Heat. But the Heat were up 7 with like 40 some seconds to go. Hornets chip it down to, it's basically a one possession game. Hornets have the ball with a 3. I don't know why you don't foul to prevent them. It drives me nuts to prevent them from getting a shot off. Kobe White was ballistic. What a pickup for them. Shout out Chicago Bulls for continuing to dump on players. He ties the game. Hornets go on to overtime. LaMelo finishes it with a game-winning layup that he really was hit on hard. They win 127-126 despite the combination of, I believe, Konkanippel and LaMelo Ball both shot a combined 2 for 22 from 3. That was accurate. 2 for 22 from 3. Mark, what did you think of that game? I know you watched it.
To be honest, I was surprised that it was this close for the fact that I was surprised, and then when I thought about it, not so surprised because the Hornets haven't been in like playoff basketball in God knows how long. But they were the team that caught everyone's attention at the tail end of the season. They've been playing really well. Like we're just like look out for the Hornets in the playoffs, and then the Heat. I mean, the Heat are literally the proverbial play-in team every year. Like they've been in the play-ins like the past 3 to 4 years. So I wasn't really expecting much out of them this game. It's just I wasn't. So the fact that they kept it close and it went into overtime and it was just a 1 point loss, I was more shocked on the Heat's end, but it also showed the inexperience that the Hornets have when it comes to serious do or die basketball. But I enjoyed it. It was crazy, and I'm happy the Hornets actually won because I'm interested to see what they can do going forward.
So the Hornets have one more game they have to win. They'll play tomorrow night. The opponent will share in a second. But, I mean, I think we're all looking for – remember the big brawl with the suspensions. Like Charlotte, Detroit, that's where it was, and I think that'll be a fun series. But I mean, I had a small FanDuel wager on the Miami Heat because of just mainly Eric Spoelstra. I'm like, am I overthinking this? Like we're talking literally the best coach still left coaching in the game right now. I'll give Steve Curtis flowers, but I mean, tactician Eric Spoelstra, nobody's been doing as long as he has. He's still an active coach, and there's a reason why he is who he is in terms of coaching ranks and all those things. But I thought that he had it in the bag, and I mean, just talk about fumbles down the stretch. But again, like they didn't have their best player the entire game. I mean, it's unfortunate, but the Hornets advanced despite the 3-point shooting woes by two of their big dogs there. But I mean, Kobe White just so impressive. It'll be interesting to see. I think Moose Diabate hurt himself pretty bad. He seemed to be limping a lot during the game. We'll see how that plays tomorrow as we look at the other matchups. But we do have one more game real quick. Last night we saw Sixers and actually two games last night. Sixers Magic. Martin, another awful performance by the Magic, who fell into the spot that they fell into mainly because this team is falling apart. They do not respect Jamal Mosley anymore. Paolo Banchero has been playing absolutely horrendous. Desmond Bane does seem to be like he cares, but that Boston game 82 against their like third and fourth stringers essentially might have been the worst effort I've ever seen. I mean, it was a close game at the end, but Magic at full strength. I mean, they lose it. They fall into this situation. And then last night, not even playing Joel Embiid in Philly, they're, weren't even necessarily testing the Sixers. And, Maxey and Paul George took care of them last night. Martin, any observations?
I mean, I know a lot of people have been getting on Paolo pretty bad because of this game, saying how he's not. I mean, he did not play his best game by any means necessary. Minus 17 on the floor, 7 for 22, 0 for 5 from 3. I mean, it's just he did not play his best game.
I texted you a gift the other day. What was it in relation to the Magic?
It was them exploding or something. I believe it was like them sinking Paulo. Let me actually
blow it up.
Yeah, blow it up. Paulo and all them.
I legitimately that Boston game was so bad. I legitimately was like blending the play-in games with that, and I was like, I really have to watch the 25-26 Orlando Magic play yet another game together in this configuration because they still have their last chance play-in game tomorrow night. I mean, because of how bad the last two have been. Expect the Jamal Mosley firing to happen by, I'd say, as soon as Saturday night, if not by 11 a.m. on Sunday. You can put me down for it.
See, it's so interesting the way, because just remember a couple of years ago,
they could win.
Yeah, they could win, and then just remember a couple of years ago, the Magic took the Cavs to a Game 7, and that's where people
was unstoppable. There's nothing we could do.
Yeah, and then now it's like that's why I love the NBA, because you could be literally one of the hottest things, and then in 2 years, if you're not consistent, fizzle out. So it's crazy. Like I don't
know what they do, Martin. They don't have any picks. They gave them all up for Desmond Bane, but I mean, you can't have two non-shooters in Paolo and Franz be, I guess, your focal points. Like they found some diamonds in the rough a little bit, with like Black has been tremendous. They've got some good folks around the margins here, but who's that newer guy they've been playing too? Jamal Cain. He's been great. But I mean, they still, Tristan da Silva's had some moments this year. I love me some Jalen Suggs. Like I put Jalen Suggs in the same vein more or less is, oh gosh, what's his name on New York? You know what I'm talking about?
Brunson?
Josh Hart. They're very similar builds. They do the exact same things. They're the gritty guys. They're the, hey, I'm gonna I'm going to be the dump off guy when we're beating the zone at the foul line and make great decisions, like, defensive grit, like the very similar stuff. I mean, like he's a player that if they did want to blow it up, like, I mean, that's a guy who you'll get a return for, I think. Like, obviously not a superstar return, but like a sizable return for. Because I think he could be your Derek White on a team that's, in the margins I need to get over the hump. Like that's how much respect I have for that guy. He's so good. It's going to be, I do not anticipate them winning tomorrow night. Martin, we did have one more game. I'd say another surprise one. So you have last night, Golden State and the Los Angeles Clippers. So we started this season with, Pablo Torre and, the investigation and aspiration and trees that weren't planted and fraud, and Ballmer's doing the PR tour and, flying to the ESPN studio to make his claim. And the NBA still hasn't ruled on this. Still hasn't, this giant law firm has taken their sweet time looking into this to see what ramifications, if any, are going to come down. They end up doing a little bit of a fire sale. Obviously, the Cavs beneficiaries of that, doing the Darius Garland swap. And then they traded Zubac to the Pacers, who are already looking ahead to next year to get a center since they lost Miles Turner. But they've been frisky. Kawhi's been playing like a man on fire. Like, I definitely think he's in contention for a first-team All-NBA spot when the votes come in here soon. But Golden State with a throwback last night, Martin. Wow.
Yeah, that was definitely old school Warriors. And you talked about we talked about the Portland who didn't have a player. Obviously, this is the Warriors team that Jimmy Butler's been gone for most of the year.
Yep.
And I mean, Steph turned back the clock with 35. Draymond turned back the clock with a Draymond type game, a 6-9, 4 steals, 7
Steph
points.
had 8 at one point in the third quarter, and then just went scorched inferno.
Yeah, and then they had
Draymond
other people
locking
too.
Up Kawhi.
Yeah, he did, but
I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, this is Kawhi Leonard.
But even just those two alone.
Again, when Porzingis is healthy, we know who Kristaps can be, but he's so frail. He's got mystery injury or illnesses that are undiagnosed, and doctors can't figure out. He's in and out of the lineup, but I couldn't believe it when I woke up and checked the box score earlier this morning. I was like, they came back? What?
Yeah, I mean, it was a team effort. Kristaps had 10, Kristaps had 20, Santos had 20, Brandon had 17. You want to talk about old school? Al Horford had 14. It was a team effort. And then obviously led by Curry and Draymond.
Was it a flash in the pan, or do they have one more in to get them in to play OKC? Martin, on the other side of the game, so obviously our dude, DG the PG, 21 points last night. He did foul out, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, -9 on the floor. He's had a good run since he's come back and played since the trade. But Martin, his quote last night. So imagine, obviously, there's a lot of frustration trading a 26-year-old for a 36-year-old and us sending a second-round pick to get that 36-year-old in Cleveland. But his quote after the game last night said, here on April 15th was, I felt like I was playing with 9 toes out there.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine the Cavs getting ready to, with any, I hope so bad this kid can get healthy. He's an amazing human being. He's a talent. He's a maestro with the ball. I mean, he's got I don't know, on his best days, he's got 70% Kyrie handles on him, which still shows how much the difference is between him and Kyrie, the best wizard with the basketball I've ever seen. At 30% is his deficit. But can you imagine the Cavs getting ready to start a playoff run without? And again, James Harden's got that broken piece of his off shooting thumb. So I mean, it's not like injuries don't happen places, but I'm like, that would be our scenario right now if you didn't. So the Cavs clearly knew something to that effect. Knew, hey, he's just going to be dealing with this. We know, unfortunately, where he's at with his stature and size defensively. Not that the Cavs have been lighting the world on fire with James Harden in defense. Our defense actually slipped a lot since he's joined. I don't think it's necessarily James' fault. I think it's other places around the roster, but I just that stood out to me of just what our scenario could be for this year trying to win a title. So, Martin, that leads us to win or go back to your mama's house tomorrow night as we record this. So we have got Golden State, Phoenix. We've got Orlando and Charlotte. Martin, who is going to be the winner-loser here to win the game, but then go on and take on the number one seed in each conference? Who you got in each matchup?
Yeah, and before I pick my winners, just want to say both these games are on Amazon Prime. I know it has been for some people, a hassle to find the games and whatnot, but just want to throw that out there too. If this podcast comes out before the games, they are on Amazon Prime, and you can listen to it on the radio. I got the Hornets beating the Magic. Yeah, I got Hornets beating the Magic there, and then
I don't think the Magic want to win this game. I think the players we're done. We know we don't have it in this team, and like it's sad. Like I don't foresee them like outright quitting, but if they get down big early and Charlotte comes out launching threes, I could see them throwing in the towel. And then you've got like Goga Batadze getting run for like 14 minutes in the second half. I'm with you. Same pick. Golden State and Phoenix.
Man,
Phoenix is hosting.
I don't want to be. I don't think that's the same Warriors. I don't know if that was just a flash because it was just the Clippers being the Clippers, but I'm gonna go Phoenix.
I'm going to zag and I'm going to take Golden State. I think Steph is healthy. I think Phoenix can't defend. And Phoenix doesn't. If Porzingis and Draymond and Phoenix and Draymond and Guy Santos, size-wise, are who they were last night. Phoenix has no front court. I mean, like they're rolling out like Oso Ighodaro in some lineups to try to like have like a 5-man. I'll take Golden State, but I don't feel confident.
Fair enough.
So, Mark, let's do quick transitions here. So, assuming those picks that we pick hold, or we'll just say these are the 8 seeds now. Do either of these teams have any chance of knocking off the 1 seed in either conference?
No. That would be Hornets.
That would be Golden State or Phoenix. Yeah, that would be Golden State and Phoenix.
Versus Thunder?
Or Hornets and Detroit.
No.
Yeah. So Thunder are going to advance regardless.
Yeah.
And I'd say at best sweep or gentleman sweep, whoever comes forward there. I feel confident Golden State can get hot for a game at home and take these games, but I don't see Phoenix even winning a game against that juggernaut. I will say, could Charlotte and Detroit get a little frisky?
Could it get frisky? Yes, but I think Detroit would win.
And by frisky, my frisky barometer, Martin, I think for this year's playoffs is could they win 2 games?
My frisky barometer is I would not be for any of these. I won't be surprised if the series is tied 2-2 going into Game 5.
For Charlotte and Detroit.
That would be my frisky. If it's 2-2 going into Game 5 and then Detroit wins the next 2, that's frisky. Because then you're playing with fire.
The big question is, like, there's obviously some blood there. You had a bunch of suspensions. Like, is any of that going to boil over in the series? And, like, I imagine this is a prime, like, if you could bet on, I don't have Kalshi, but if you could bet on Kalshi for, like, are there going to be double techs? Is there going to be an injection? Like, I'd probably take a bet on both of those, like, separate bets from just, like, it getting heated. Can Beef Stew hold himself together? I also want to know, like, to what extent is Cade Cunningham like overdoing it? Like he didn't. This man had a collapsed lung like 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago. Like so, like what version of Cade are you getting? Now, like I was worried, like dude, it's just basketball. Like if my friend had a collapsed lung, like I'm more worried about that for their health than I am them playing basketball. So I know like Cade got his minutes in to be award eligible, and then obviously had or be close enough where he could appeal, but that's my worry. Also, too, I mean, like we know what Detroit is with physicality and defense and stuff, but I mean, Detroit could go cold, but I think the scenario for Detroit to lose is going to be a team that can actually play defense, and Charlotte can't play defense. Charlotte can score, but they I don't see them with the front court size either to pick up with JD and Jalen Duren. I mean, what a year, man, monster.
Right.
All right, so we got both one seeds advancing in the first round. That leaves us exactly 6 more series to go. So, Martin, let's start west. Denver, Minnesota. I could see this being a toss-up. Who you got?
Oh, this is my series to look. This is the series I'm looking forward to the most for multiple reasons. One, obviously, you have Denver. You got championship experience with Jokic and that crew, and they're trying to get back. They've not been near that since they won the title. And then you have the
Gordon
Timberwolves,
finally healthy?
yeah, and Gordon finally. But then you have the Timberwolves, who have been near that the past 2 years. The Timberwolves have been in the Western Conference Finals the past 2 years, and they are. It is, and every time you don't think they're going to make it, they've made it these past 2 years, and they've knocked on the door. And like Anthony Edwards has said, look who he has sent home in these playoffs. Like he is a playoff guy when the chips. So man, this is tough. I I have Denver in 7.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there as well too. A couple notes for me. Yeah, Denver's healthy, but I'll say Denver struggles mightily defensively. So and Minnesota is one of the best offenses in the league. Not that Denver's not also. I mean, Denver I think just like posted like a top 14 or 16 like best offense of all time statistically. Like I just heard on another pod. Like so, I mean, but Denver's Achilles heel is their defense. So for Minnesota, that's wrong. They've got to get contributions from the remnants of the Cat trade. DiVincenzo has got to get you 12 to 15 for sure on some efficiency and help distribute the basketball. So Ant doesn't have to do all that. Julius Randle had such a great start to the year, but he has been trash in recent weeks. So I mean, he's got to play some bully ball in there too, and kind of go toe to toe with Aaron Gordon, on both sides of the ball. I do worry about Minnesota's depth. I mean, it's not like they're coming in with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Is probably your most improved player of the year for Atlanta right now, but I do like Denver. Obviously, Jokic is the best player in the series, but don't tell that to Anthony Edwards either. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, he's going to be ready.
Martin, next series here. Let's go with staying west. Let's go with LeBron versus KD one more time. Lakers, Houston Rockets. There's talks that. So for those listening or unfamiliar, you only check in when we check in on the pod. No Luka, no Austin Reeves, maybe. Although Reeves is maybe closer than Luka. Luka went over and did the super secret, non-regulated medical stuff overseas, and he is probably on his way back to see if he can give it a go for parts of this series. Old man LeBron, every game might be his last. Or every series might be his last. What do you got?
Okay. In theory, in logical sense, Houston should win this series currently as things are now. With don't know when Luka's playing. He's even going to play the series. Same with AR. No Luka, no AR. Houston should win this series. My thing that is holding me back and even giving me cause to pause with the Rockets is that Kevin Durant has been bounced in the first round like the past 4 years. Besides that round where they took Milwaukee to the brink and they lost that one, and Milwaukee ended up winning the title that year. Since 2021, KD's just been bouncing the first. He's been getting crushed, and there's been multiple sweeps. And I know some of that, but it's still just Phoenix, uh, Brooklyn. Like they've had multiple sweeps. He hasn't got out the first round, so I'm just like, is it gonna happen again? It should not happen again. Would I be surprised though, just because of the past couple years of KD playing on his teams just fiddling out? No. My thing is that here's this. Last year, Houston was the second seed in the playoffs. No one expected Houston to be as good as they were last year record wise.
No.
And they were the second seed. Kevin Durant is supposed to take that second seed and amplify that by 100. This is the reason. They didn't bring him here for the regular season. This is the reason. We were a second seed without you. So now you got to take us over the hump and get us to the conference finals. That's where they're thinking. I don't think they would get past the second round, but that's obviously what they have to think. So I'm going to take Houston, but I don't think it's just going to be a sweep or gentleman's sweep because I just feel like they're going to fumble some games.
Mark, I think you're right. So outside of Kevin Durant, I worry about their perimeter shooting for sure. They've made some interesting. They gave Dorian Finney-Smith tons of money this offseason. He isn't playing and is like only averaging 3 points a game. The Lakers were like, yeah, sure, take him. And they thought, such a big win for depth and stuff. Obviously, so two serious injuries that have really hurt Houston, obviously, is Steven Adams and his menacing screens and rebounding. There's not a better offensive rebounder in the league, I think, just in terms of pure physicality, besides him and Mitchell Robinson. And so you lost that. You lose Fred VanVleet. They have no other ball handlers. I mean, they're trying to make it work with what they got. But I'm looking at this series in a couple different ways. The Lakers have to chunk the series, I think. So can you win at least one of the first three to get you to a game 4? And then I wouldn't rule out, if you have Austin Reeves and you have Luka Doncic able to play in game 4, I'm not ruling out that the Lakers couldn't figure out a way to do the 3-1 flip and take it. I'm not ruling it out. If you get those guys back, I mean, Luka Doncic is a menace, and there's no stopping him ever. Luka Doncic stops Luka Doncic. But if you're the Lakers, can you at least get one of these first three and buy some time to get back your dogs, then make it a series? But I'll say, with all the unknowns, what we know about right now, before the series has started, I got to pick Houston just on the fact of, LeBron will show out, but I don't think it'll be ugly by any means, just based on what we described about Houston's woes. But they do have Kevin Durant on that side, and the other side doesn't have any timetable or assurances for us, the viewers, that AR and Luke are going to play. So I'll pick Houston.
Fair enough. And we already did the center, so the last one's the Spurs and Blazers.
Let's talk Alien and let's talk Deni Avdija. So on paper, we're going to make some assumptions. On paper, I think we should think the Spurs should win. But Martin, we've seen, I think, this before, of young teams that have made the ascension look no further than what you just described with Houston last year, right? Young, up-and-coming team, young players, athleticism across the board, overperform beyond expectations, loses to Golden State in the opening round as a 2 seed. I think we want to say that might be the anomaly as opposed to the rule, but you also got to look at what's on the other side, and there's no Steph Curry on the other side of this series. But you've got to I'll put this in potential frisky territory, but I'm taking the Spurs.
So I would say on the flip side of that, about young team on the rise, and like you said, Houston and everyone taking their lumps. I mean, look no further than the
Got to take your
defending
lumps.
champs. The defending champs. I mean, obviously they had to go through it. I mean, they had that intense series against Dallas that they lost
Yep.
the year before they won the title, and I mean, and they were a number one seed. So the Spurs are so interesting because I don't think anyone expected them to be. No one expected them to be 60 plus win good this year.
No.
Like from where they were last year, and it just showed Wembley and all the pieces and things of that nature. So I'm very excited for them.
Castle and Harper.
Mm-hmm. And they want it. They want it. That's the thing about it. They want to win. They want to be in these moments. They want to win the championship. Like I love it. This is great for the league because besides that those couple years, obviously when they got Wemby and they were hurt in the last of the dunk and all that stuff. Most of my entire life, the Spurs have been in this position. Like they've been a 2 seed that good. So maybe from a nostalgia thing, it's great to see them back in this fall. But I'm excited to see Wemby in the playoffs.
Don't forget, De'Aaron Fox. I didn't mention either. He hasn't been peak De'Aaron Fox of late, but he's not nothing to sneeze at. But I mean, Drew Holiday can only guard so many folks. There are some length defensively for Portland, but I just don't think they have the scoring power to keep up and that's independent of all the alien stuff that Wemby does on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think the Spurs in this postseason will go as far as Wemby commits to playing foul line in, because I think there's times he settles on the perimeter and he can shoot. He can shoot absolutely, but I mean, the dude just does one like little spin of his pivot foot and he's at the rim above everybody else. So I mean, there's only so much you can do, and they absolutely Donovan Clingan doesn't have the size to do anything against him. Neither does Robert Williams. Like they just don't have it. So we'll both pick Spurs, but maybe a team trying to take their lumps early on and getting ahead of themselves. Like maybe Portland steals a game, or maybe there's a bad officiated game and it becomes 2. So we've seen stranger things. Martin, let's go east. So I want to start with the New York Knicks, kind of co-favorites to start the year with the Cavs, knowing all the injuries and ACL injuries in the East, versus the Atlanta Hawks. There were some really good final week of the season games between the Cavs and Hawks and Knicks. CJ McCollum, by maybe a 0.1 of a second, missed a game-winning half-court shot against the Knicks. They played well in both series, or both of those little games against Eastern Conference contenders. This might be the most competitive opening round besides, at least on the East side, besides Minnesota and Denver we talked about.
I'm going to ask you, how surprised would you be if Atlanta actually pulls this off?
Not surprised.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely have expectations the Knicks should win. I'm going to pick the Knicks in this series, but I think there's a couple interesting factors. I question Mike Brown's a great regular season coach. I've seen it for 20 years. I've seen it personally for 20 plus years. 2 stints with the Cavs, seen it with Sacramento. First season with the Knicks, he was brought in to replace Thibodeau to solve the postseason problem and make the team work. And I especially on the offensive end of the ball, unless he's got some new tricks in the bag, I don't know. I really worry about the schematic pieces, especially when Atlanta is way more athletic than you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think Quinn Snyder is more of an offensive minded threat in that regard. I think the Cat question still looms large. Cat should just feast in this series. Atlanta has no interior or anything. They got a Conwu, obviously, but Cats should just feast in this series. But I mean, Atlanta's frisky, man. This is at least going to go 6 games. At
I
least
agree.
6 games.
I
Jalen
agree.
Johnson this year. I mean, 27-7 or 26-5, something like that. I mean, just an animal. And then again, we alluded to it earlier in the pod, but the Keeler Alexander Walker going from like 9 points a game in Minnesota off the bench to a 20-point per game score, looking like his Canadian cousin SGA. He is good, man. He just impossible shots, timely shots. He's kind of got the herky jerky stuff that Shea's got too. I think they got rid of Trey and they look so great, man. I mean, they really pushed the Cavs threw away the second game, but the first game was competitive till the Cavs pulled away, in the fourth. But I see this going. Yeah, I see this going 6 or 7. But I am taking the Knicks, but I wouldn't be horrendously surprised if something happens. And again, you're one injury away when you're in frisky territory from getting friskier. Barton, Boston, and Philly.
Oh, I won't even. I won't bury the lead on this. I mean, I've seen this for the
Yeah.
past 5 to 7 years. It's going to be Boston. The only thing I'm going to say is that, man, the respect that Jason Tatum
Are we
has.
going to say it for this?
I was just going to talk about
Sorry, you're
Tatum.
going a different direction.
Just the Tatum. Just the fact that he came back from that injury and these couple obviously took him a while, but he just looks the same. Like, it's crazy. So they are
I can't
very
believe it.
dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so glad we're on the other side of the bracket. I mean, I definitely feel we dodged that side of the bracket for a reason, not to play them or New York. Knowing that like jobs are on the line, reputations, players are on the line. Like
Yep.
if you don't make it to the East Finals, and I think that was part of our decision towards the end. I don't think we had to try real hard. Like it's not like Cavs overtly threw 6 games to get here, but like I think they had it within their means to get up to 3, and they're like, nah, we're good based on what they saw over in Beantown.
Yep.
Yeah, Martin, I don't know if there's any injury update on Joel. I mean, we're saying this for like the 17th postseason in a row, but definitely Boston without Horford or Porzingis, and Cato's been tremendous, but they stand no chance. If Joel comes in and plays, like the few blips where you look up at a box score and he plays, he's looking like Joel, but can he string it together for 4 games in an opening round against Boston? I don't know his injury status. Do you know?
No, I don't. We
Yeah,
probably won't know anything till Saturday.
I don't have high. Yeah, I don't have high hopes, but I mean, I do expect Boston to sweep or gentleman sweep this, and maybe gentleman sweep. I mean, Maxey can get hot. I mean, Paul's still got some stuff in the tank. You could have the random. Even last night, Andre Drummond against Wendell Carter and Paolo Banchero had like 12 boards in a starting capacity with his age and stuff too. I mean, like you could have somebody feasting like that, but I expect Boston. Now, the most important series, Martin. The most important series, listeners. You should not be surprised by any of this. We have what we thought was going to be Atlanta Hawks at Cleveland Cavaliers. Last couple games, weird things happening. Mainly Orlando getting beat by Boston to avoid the 3-way tiebreaker for the other teams of contention, playing the Toronto Raptors. Martin, Cavs have not played Toronto Raptors, I believe. They played them really early on, I think since like back in November. Toronto beat us 3 times this year. Different iterations of us not having players, all those different things. Obviously, I like this matchup way better than having to deal with the Hawks off the bat. Game 1 is Saturday in the Lambs. You've got Scotty Barnes is fighting for potential defensive second defensive team and all NBA stuff and a lot of people's awards brackets. But how many games? And are you picking Cleveland?
I am picking Cleveland. I would like this series to be done in 5 minimum, maximum. Like
I'd like the series to be done in 4.
yeah, I'm just wishful thinking, but it's possible. I just feel like We just talked about avoiding Boston and all that. Let's not avoid Boston to get upset by
Stay
the
healthy.
Raptors. Let's take care of business. Like, again, my pause for concern. Just like when we talked about Kevin Durant, this is why they brought you in for the playoffs. I will not be a hypocrite. James Harden in the playoffs when it really matters has been awful. So
Has been
hope
awful.
I'm
But I'll
hoping
say James Harden's been awful when he has expectations of being
the guy.
a
Yes,
lead
you're right.
dog,
You're
the
right.
guy. That's not James Harden's role on this team.
It is
James
not.
Harden's expected to perform, run the offense, the foul line when we've got dry spells, because he has a long history of getting to the foul line. It's recently his 10,000th lifetime free throw. He's second all time in 3-pointers made in the history of basketball. We expect him to do some of that stuff, but by and large, you're going to need your front court to stay healthy and perform and beat up on a Jakob Poeltl and a Scotty Barnes. More so on Poeltl than Scotty Barnes, and you're going to need Donovan to do Donovan things, and then get timely contributions from your Dean Wades and your Sam Merrills and your Max Strus. And then, make sure you got, your Keon Ellis locking in on a quickly, trying to stop him, from pushing the pace. Toronto feasts on kind of the full court offense, run and gun. Let's get down the floor as fast as we can. Not really set up stuff. Let's sprint, let's leak out, all the different things. Cavs got some stuff to clean up, for sure. I think you're right on the head. I think 5 games for this, but you got to get through it and stay healthy. I mean, you saw that where Darius started to get injured only 3 games in the playoffs last year, and then the Pacers series happened, and you're gone. You got to get through it. You got to be healthy. Kenny's got to be smart about his rotations. He's got to maximize his depth that he knows he has. And, the Cavs should take care of this. But I will say, Martin, my stat of the day, you know what the Cavs record is in games, regular season games this year? And I should have gone back previous years because I think it would add to this. What the Cavs regular season record is in games Eastern Standard Time at 3 p.m. or earlier opening tip? You were at one of them with me.
I was. So I'm going to say I won't give a record, but I would say under 43%.
1-3, Martin.
All right, so 33%. Okay.
1-3, and they've looked bad in several of those. Obviously, the Oklahoma City MLK Day massacre we were at.
Yep.
And then the second one being there was that home and home with Dallas where we beat the crap out of Dallas. We come back home and just get a boat raced by a bunch of no names and Cooper at home, basically at full strength. I have no words. That's been a common theme in the last couple of years. It happened to JB. I don't know, those primetime things. And we're in that, hey, we don't really care about you slot at 1:00 on a Saturday for opening round. So, I mean, Martin, we'll see. I mean, for the Cavs, things they have to clean up if they are going to make it to the East Finals, or they're going to be competitive in this series or in Detroit. There's a number of things. Evan Mobley has to attack the bucket in north-south fashion. You have to hold on to the ball. I literally feel like the sliders are up, and if you tap X on your Xbox, you're going to strip them every time automatically. Just give him the ball or just hand him the ball. So Evan's got to clean those things up. James Harden is not the James Harden of 7 years ago with just doing ISO dribbles up top. The last 10 games, I mean, I can count on more than 2 hands the amount of I'm just going to dribble for 15 seconds and then somebody's going to poke at the ball and it's gone the other way for a layup. Most recently, I think it was in the Atlanta game, second to last Atlanta game. Dyson Daniels stripped them twice. I think Jalen Johnson stripped it. We had 3 of those takeaways just off him, top of the key, solo ISO dribbling. Let's get in the motions. Let's get stuff working. And again, his whole purpose. He's going to help alleviate Donovan Mitchell's responsibilities for the on-ball. Let's set up the offense. Some of the miles he's going to have. Donovan continues to, over the last few years, it's when he gets injured, it's groin. So, got to make sure that he's not taken too much of a beating when he attacks the bucket, and he's one of the best in the league at doing that. But Martin, the pieces are there to have a juggernaut versus juggernaut fight in the second round, but you got to get through it healthy, like we said.
Agreed.
Taking Cavs 5.
All right, both of us say Cavs and 5. Both of us say, man, it's exciting. We got the play-in tomorrow, Friday, and then the round one officially starts Saturday, and we're gonna be here till June.
It's exciting, Martin. Two quick pieces I had as we've eclipsed a little bit of our 60-minute mark here. We like to keep the listeners too. Just quick, not a lot of explanation. Awards rapid fire. We got a tough one yet again for MVP. Where are you going?
I think he's gonna get
Shea
back to back.
Shea or Joker?
I think Shea's going to get back to back because if I remember correctly, when he came back from that recent injury, they didn't lose a game when he played. Or like they lost one or two, but I remember they did not really lose. And I felt like that last stretch did it for him. You can't, the number one seed in the West 3 straight years, and you're the one leading the charge at 30, shooting 50% from the field. I just feel like they're going to give it to him again. I mean, again, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I think all these people are deserving at this point.
You had no J-Dub for over half the season.
Oh, you could have forgot he was even on the team.
You forgot he's on the team.
Yeah.
But Martin, I'll say too, like, first off, I hate when voters just go, I'm tired of voting for the same guy every year or back-to-back years, and I just got to pick somebody different to be different.
Yeah.
I hate that. I never want to be about that. I can feel like I can objectively say, but I can say I'm struggling with this between the two. Because I genuinely feel like the pieces, the coaching of Oklahoma City, like, if no Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I firmly believe, if no Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Jay Will played the entire season, and you just had the sum of their parts. You had the Dort machine, you had Caruso, you've got Chet. I feel like this is at worst a 5 seed on their own. Could you say the same about Denver without Jokic?
No, you couldn't. But I mean, I know we're talking about those two, but what about Wemby? Their jump was unprecedented.
Their jump was unprecedented. Every team schemes against Wemby or tries to defensively. There's no answer in our lifetime for anything like that. Just what he can cover on ground. I just, on the offensive side of the ball, he's still got some growth, I think, to do there. And I think he settles too much of the perimeter, as I talked about earlier. Once he just decides, I'm going to park my butt in the paint, I'm not going to get pushed around a lot by like really sturdy, 6'5" guys and get pushed off my spot and just haul up over people and average 30 a night. I absolutely think he will, because it'll be that easy for him. Yeah. And then it's a no-brainer. He's definitely a top 5 MVP candidate for sure. Like, I don't want to disparage that, but I'm still probably going to go Shea, just because I don't want to miss the moment of, you know what I mean? That like we could be on the cusp of a three-peat, 4 and 7 for the fun. Like, we could be in who wants to be the idiot looking back and going, yeah, we thought somebody was better than Shea.
No,
the streak of 20 plus in a row, Martin. Yep. Automatic. It's the easiest bet on FanDuel.
Yep. And I would also just want to
throw minus 1,300 most nights because it's so easy.
I would also want to throw some love
Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby.
Yeah, that's easy. But for the MVP, though, do want to throw love to 2 other people, though, because obviously other rises. Yep. Obviously, Cade. No one expected Detroit to have 60 wins this year. And then the other one, too, remember, this was supposed to be a gap year for Boston and Jaylen Brown and led those guys to 56-26, and now with Tatum back, they could be priced to win the title again. So do want to show. I think those would be the top five in it, and then Luka I think will be in it too. But those are my easily the top six.
I'll go Shea by a small hair over Jokic.
First
Number
player
three,
in NBA history to average to lead the league in rebounds and assists at the same time.
First player.
First
Great
player.
stat. Saw it. Three, I'm actually going to go Luka.
Okay.
Just with the Lakers continue to not have much around those heavy three contracts they've got, and I mean he balled out this year. And he is eligible now. Four, I'm going to go Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
Five, because I really do feel like this is a toss-up too, but I'm going to be a homer. I'm going to say Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
I believe Donovan Mitchell played in 70 games.
Mm-hmm.
And the lineup combinations for the Cavs this year were absolutely absurd. I mean, I think this is the highest averaging year of his career, along with, I think he averaged 5 assists too.
Mm-hmm.
He was close to like 27, 6 and 5, something like that, 27, 5 and 5. But I mean, just like if you look at the lineup combinations, teams with the same amount of lineup combinations that we've thrown out there for starting lineups, like you're talking the Pacers that are like going to be a lottery team in the top 4, like waiting on the coin flip of if it goes to the Clippers or not in the Zubac trade. Again, like it just impeccable for us we didn't think the season was going to go this way. Missing as much as we did with Darius, missing as much as we did with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley missing, Max Strus with, that training camp foot injury that kept him out till like mid-March. I mean, he's such an impactful player for this team. I mean, obviously, some bad off-season moves. Losing Ty Jerome hurt sincerely. I knew it when it happened. And the Lonzo Ball experiment. I mean, talk about least impactful player on any basketball court this season. I mean, I feel bad his career got derailed by injuries. By all counts, a good dude, but yeah, just awful. So, Martin, Coach of the Year, Joe Maz or J.B. Bickerstaff?
Joe. I'm taking Joe. Joe Maz. Yep.
I'm going to take JB. I think Joe has quickly already in that bucket of like you expect. I mean, it's just kudos to him, right? I mean, like the team's been there. I still think you've got the Peyton Pritchards and Derek Whites and Jaylen Brown. But I mean, I respect what they did to get to the 2 seed and all that stuff, but JB took over a team that won 14 games 2 years ago, and the number 1 seed in the East. And I mean, like they were like 14-4 without Cade.
Yep.
So, but I mean, another close race. Martin, last thing I want to talk about, unless you have another pressing award, I think I'm team Neil at there's Alexander Walker for
most improved. I agree.
But expansion.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're here. We've had like 4 years ago, we're going to do a planning committee to think about voting to do a planning committee. So we're finally at a spot where the league took a vote to explore these very 2 specific cities. There's been some questions of why not other cities, especially more Las Vegas and Seattle, right? I mean, I think everybody thought Seattle got robbed.
Yep.
Post Hurricane Katrina and, moving the franchise to the experimental New Orleans, Oklahoma City town and going there. That makes sense. I get that. We got tanking to figure out. Adding 2 more teams to the fold is going to inflate wins at the top end. How are they going to go about an expansion draft where you can only protect, I think last time it's the Bobcats, 04 was like you protect like 8 players, but your other 4 are like up for grabs essentially, along with like, kids coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
The Vegas stuff, I'm not high on Vegas. But I mean, just thoughts in general. 2 more, it's ideally another game of basketball. every night or every other night?
I think the league has to. It's so interesting because as fans, we're trying to see it from a more practical setting. Like, does this make sense? Will we benefit from this? Things of that nature. Not saying the people who actually have decisions in this NBA see it from there too, but obviously their thing is just simple. Another team, more TV contracts, hopefully more stadium revenue money. And like you said, you're not high on Vegas. I'm particularly not high on Vegas, but since it's a tourist attraction and every team just wants to move there, obviously the Raiders and like the Aces are there, like the
Team
baseball
USA,
team,
Summer
yep,
League.
summer league. So it's just like, but then what do
We're
we
going to go
do?
one of these years.
Yeah, that's true. But what do we do? What do we do when we have these teams? Because you obviously the scheduling, we can't go over 82 games. So obviously, so you're just gonna have
Doc
to.
Rivers is going to be like the Vegas' first coach, isn't he?
I was, I think he should take it easy for a bit. I really do, but
I
and I
think
don't
he
think he
should
wants
be
to coach
retired.
I don't think he wants to coach an expansion team, but I don't
I
know,
think
man.
Doc likes money.
Well, the NBA likes money too. That's why we're having this conversation. I
That's why we're
personally,
having this conversation.
I personally am not really a fan of expansion, all like that, just because sometimes you got to know when enough's enough. But I just hope too that if they add these teams, they don't add more stuff to like the play in, like stuff like that.
I tell you what just occurred to me I would do. I would do a modified soccer thing. And I'd add, I think I'd add four teams. Walk with me on this. So it puts the league up to 34 total.
Hmm.
Um, and you're going to go with that relegation piece. So like you will have basically you'll kind of have like, and maybe you could work in some, the NBA wants a team in Mexico City. They want some teams, um, like a Barcelona to like soccer club to buy into basketball in Europe, all those kinds of things. I think you create like a secondary above a G League circuit that's kind of expansion with four additional teams in the U.S. And then every year you swap out the top two performing teams on that circuit with the two lowest performing teams in the NBA. So you can get bumped up or bumped down. So congratulations, Washington Wizards. You are now playing in the lower tier for next year. Like goodbye, because you didn't try. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's probably a half baked idea, but I feel like there's a pathway there. But Martin, outside that's not going to happen. But outside of that, what other cities are deserving besides Vegas? Just like name me three that should have been explored that would be successful.
For NBA team.
NBA cities that aren't Vegas for an NBA team.
Um, just because I know the type. I mean, I'm gonna be remiss and not say where we're from. I was gonna say Columbus.
Yep,
Um,
that's on my list.
I mean, I've
With the
seen.
17th largest city in America.
Yep. And I've seen the fandom here for the professional teams. Obviously, the Columbus Crew has been significantly more successful than the Blue Jackets, but both teams sell out either way. Like the Blue Jackets could be
Yep.
horrible, and they have been horrible at times, and they still put 20,000 people in there easy. So I know if Columbus got a team,
I'd
they would
absolutely
show
put
up for
Columbus
that.
on there.
Oh man.
Give me two more.
Well, shoot it. The way LeBron and Draymond and them are talking, Memphis is going to need a new team because they want that to go to to freaking Nashville. Trying to think, trying to think of all the different
Could Tennessee
demographics.
support two teams?
Nah, I think maybe.
I think they could.
I'm just trying to think of a basket. I
I think
mean,
They call it Nash Vegas for a reason. I mean,
that is true. I'm thinking about like a basketball state. What about Kentucky? Or is that too since
I would
Columbus
have
would get
looked at
one?
I feel, yeah, I would have looked at like a Louisville, like Columbus and Louisville. There's this kind of like desolate basketball space, like
Mm-hmm.
obviously in Kentucky, outside of Memphis, real close to the Missouri border there. But like, over, so basically between Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, we'll call DC more of Maryland, but we'll say Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, and Georgia. You have a total of like 2.5 NBA teams, right? You got the Hawks, you got the half being kind of Grizzlies that are really pushing west and into Missouri almost right there on the river. And then you've got the Charlotte Hornets. Like, I don't think either of the Carolinas could support a team. Like, part of me is like, man, that'd be cool to. I don't know if like Montgomery or Mobile don't sound like NBA player destinations for Alabama, but like I'd say Nashville. I'd say Nashville absolutely could support it.
Right on. Right on. I like it.
I'll throw St. Louis in there too. That
Ooh,
might be
St.
too
Louis,
close.
okay.
But so remember, famously, St. Louis used to be in the original with the Spirits, I believe in the ABA. And then one of my favorite stories of basketball being, those owners that said, "Hey, we'll let you fold our franchise if you give us like I forget what it was. It was like 3% or 1% of TV revenue every year that you're in operation." And like up until the NBA got out of the deal, like 10 years ago, they were cutting like several $100 million checks still to the owners and their descendants from the folded franchise from 1968 before the merger. So once a basketball city.
It's true. True that.
Martin, anything else?
No, I think we hit a lot. I mean, it's playoff time, man.
It's a good run.
Time to get the games going.
Playoff time. I hate that there's no games tonight.
Yeah,
we got to get these things settled with the plans, and then let's go.
Yeah.
Every night, something else.
Yeah, it'll be a great time. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. We'll be back to review the first round and preview the second round. With that being said, L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.